Welcome to this particular episode. From the last one, we've seen how we can create a to-do using this, right? So this tutorial, we're going to be creating the logout functionality. But before we do, I have a little tweak I need to make while creating the token. So let's go back to the create token function that we defined above. Right here, this is it. Now in this function, we are going to adjust the way this UUID is used for the refresh token. Now the idea is when a user logs out, we are supposed to invalidate both the access and the refresh token. So that is, we are going to remove them from our ready store so that the user cannot make any requests with the access token again. For we to do that, let us make a tweak here about how the refresh UUID is created. We're going to use the access UUID, then we're going to append the user's ID to it. So this is what I mean. We're going to say access UUID. We're going to use a separator like this, and we're going to call string convert the user's ID. So convert the user's ID to a string, and we're going to pass in this. Why we're using this int first is to convert the int64 to an int. So when we convert the int64 to an int, we now convert the int to a string. So this is what we're going to have now. Instead of creating a fresh UUID for the refresh token, we also use the access UUID, and we are going to have the user's ID to it. Now the next thing we're going to do now is let us check. Okay, we have the extract token metadata. Now let's wire up the logout functionality. For me to do that, we are going to define a function called logout. Now this function is going to receive a valid token. Remember, this is an authenticated request. A logout is an authenticated request. Before a user can log out, he needs to be logged in first. So we're going to say func logout, and we're going to pass in the gene context here, right? Then we are going to now extract the token metadata like this. This is what we're going to do. So we can just copy this over, copy this here. In the event that this we don't have any valid token metadata, an error is returned, right, to the caller. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to delete both the access and the refresh token from our ready store. So for we to do that, we need to define a function that will help us do that in our ready. Of course, we could do that here, just like here. You observe that for we to query our Redis DB, when we are creating a to-do, we needed to define the fetch auth function. So we have to do something like this when we are deleting our access and refresh tokens when a user logs out. So for we to do that, let us define a function called delete tokens. Now this function will query our Redis store and delete both the access token and the refresh tokens. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to say func delete tokens. Now we're going to pass the struct here, auth detail struct. So we'll say access, no access. Okay, we can pass in the access detail struct here. Okay, and return an error if any. So the first thing we are going to do is let us get the refresh UUID from the access UUID. Remember why we made that tweak about how the refresh UUID is created is the ease of getting the UID from the access like this. So we can just split the string using this as a separator. So if we do that, we can get the refresh UUID from there. This is what I mean. So we are going to say get the refresh UUID. So to get the refresh UUID, we're going to say refresh UUID. Okay, now we're going to use sprintf. Sorry, I'm going to use this function sprintf. Then we're going to get the we're going to define the string here and the format of the string, that is we are expecting a string and a digit from auth d dot the access UID and auth the user ID. Okay, so let us now delete. What this helps us do is we are getting the access the refresh UID from this, right? Then when we get it, we are going to join it like so. So the next thing we're going to do now is we're going to delete the access token. So we'll say delete access token. So we are deleting the access token. We'll now say deleted at, right? Deleted access token or an error. So we're going to query our Redis DB now. I will say delete the auth d, the access UID. Then we're going to check for the results. Okay, so if the error is not equal to new, we are going to return the error, right? So we're going to do the same for the refresh token. So we'll say delete the refresh token. Sorry, delete the refresh token. So for we to delete the refresh token, we'll say deleted at, or deleted delete refresh, sorry. Then we're going to return the error. So we're going to say clients dot delete. Now we're going to pass in the refresh UID here and the results like so. So we're going to check for error. If error is not equal to new, we're going to return the error. So this is about deleting the access and the refresh tokens. So we are now going to check when the record is deleted, these values are supposed to be 1. That is it will give us 1 or 0. So if the operation is successful, 1 is going to be returned, but if not, 0 is going to be returned. So let's confirm what is returned when either of this operation is performed. So we're going to say when the record is deleted, okay, the return value should be 1. The return value should be 1. So let us go ahead and check that. So say if deleted access token is not equal to 1, or if deleted refresh token is not equal to 1, okay, we're going to now return an error. So we're going to say return errors dot new. We're going to say something went wrong, or anything you want your error to be, that's fine. So say something went wrong while deleting the access or the refresh token metadata from the Redis store. So if everything works as expected, the error return here should be new. So right now we have the functionality to delete our tokens. Now let's call that in this logout function we have here. So we are going to call the delete tokens here. So we're going to say delete error if there's an error. So say delete tokens, this function. So we are going to pass in the metadata to it. When we do, we're now going to check if the delete error is not equal to new, right? So we're going to check if the delete error is not equal to new and return the JSON with the status of, let's call unauthorized, status code of unauthorized, and we're going to return the error string. Let's convert this to a string using this helper function. Alright, so we are now going to return. So the next thing we're going to do now is what's the error? Let's see. Oh, sorry, it's not supposed to be. So let's clean up this, okay. Of this. So the next thing we're going to do now is let's return a message to the caller, something like maybe logout successful, for instance. So we'll say http.status okay, status okay, and we'll now say successfully logged out. All right, so this is to show that the user have successfully logged out by we deleting the access and the refresh tokens from the DB. So this is about the logout. So let's go ahead and test it. Let's register this first of all in our route and have a route for logout, and we're going to call the logout to define this one. All right, so now let's go ahead and test this. Remember, since we are using an in-memory user here, we need to log in each time we fire this request. So let's head over to Postman, clear the terminal, run this application again. So let's head over to Postman now and check the logout functionality. First of all, we need to log in again. All right, then copy this new token and open a new tab in Postman. Let's quickly add this here as bearer token. Let's add the token over here. So let us define the route to be at port 8080. Then we're going to call the logout. Right, so it will be a post request, post. So let's fire it. If everything works as expected, we should see a status of 200 and the successful message we have. So yeah, you can see we have successfully logged. Sorry, it's supposed to be successfully logged out. So let's go and fix that here. Here is the logout function. All right, so log out. Okay, so firing the request again. Let's shut down our server. Okay, and fire the request again. So let us log in first. So this user is going to log in. We'll copy his token. So let us go to here and add this token here now, then fire the request again. So we say successfully logged out. So we've successfully logged out the user, so we can't use this token again to make any authenticated request even after logout, because the instant that the user is logged out, the token metadata is automatically removed from our Redis store, and when such happens, you can't make any authenticated request on behalf of this user. So thank you very much for watching, and in the very next tutorial we are going to look at how we can implement the refresh token functionality. That is a function that will help us regenerate a new pair of access and refresh token in the event that the access token expired while the refresh token is still valid. So thank you for tuning in and hope to see you in the very next tutorial.